For the last 300 years, the logic of power was strictly territorial. You built thick walls, you concentrated massive physical force, and you held your ground. Safety meant creating a fortress that nothing could penetrate. But that logic is collapsing. It is not being defeated by rival armies with overwhelming firepower. It is being defeated by the architecture of the very systems we built. Look at 3 recent events. In April 2025, the Iberian power grid went dark in seconds. In 2023, the Pakistan national grid completely collapsed. And in August 2021, the Afghan state disintegrated in just 11 days. None of these were conventional battlefield defeats. They failed because they were designed for a world of isolated, episodic threats. But in an era of continuous disruption, relying on rigid walls actually makes tightly coupled systems dangerously brittle. When infrastructure is deeply interconnected, a single localized fault does not stay local. It triggers a non-linear cascade, jumping from digital networks to physical power grids to financial systems, bypassing traditional security perimeters entirely. We saw this during the 2021 Texas winter storm. The system was highly optimized for maximum efficiency under normal, stable weather conditions. When those conditions ended, the grid could not adapt, leading to days of deadly, paralyzing blackouts. In this environment, a state's power is measured by how much authority and data it can keep moving through nodes that have been severed from the center. This chart maps out the transition required to survive. It shows a complete architectural shift from firepower to flow. Looking down the center inversion column, we can see how tight coupling creates cascade risks and how network adversaries simply ignore perimeter walls. To survive, an organization must move from defending mass to maintaining continuity. To maintain that continuity, engineers use a concept called strategic jujitsu. Instead of trying to block the massive energy of a disruption, you redirect it. You do this through graceful degradation, intentionally allowing peripheral functions to safely fail so the core system can survive. Evidence from grid management, combat medicine, and financial collapses all points to the same decisive threshold. If you cannot stabilize a disrupted system within 3 days, the failure usually becomes permanent. This creates a universal standard, the 72-hour survival metric. This diagram breaks down the hierarchy of how a system survives those first 3 days. Up here at the top are the pivot dominoes, the most critical nodes, like national energy synchronizers or central bank clearing ledgers. These must be protected at 100% capacity at all costs. And if we look down at the bottom tier, we see the peripheral nodes. In a severe crisis, the system is designed to automatically sever resources to this bottom tier. The critical pivot dominoes must be able to detach from the failing network and operate completely autonomously. Pre-engineering a system to sacrifice its outer layers to protect its core for those first 72 hours is the only way to arrest a catastrophic cascade. But this creates a severe governance problem. When a fast-moving crisis hits, local nodes will inevitably fail if they freeze up and wait for explicit orders from a central bureaucracy that might be entirely unreachable. The solution is a doctrine called commander's intent. By embedding the overarching purpose of a mission directly into local operating protocols, nodes can make independent decisions that align with the broader goal without waiting for permission. This is formalized through the Sovereign Override Clause. It is a pre-authorized, objective trigger. If specific operational thresholds are breached, like a sudden, massive drop in voltage, the local node automatically trades bureaucratic deliberation for speed. True network resilience schedules accountability and audits after the crisis is stabilized. Asking for permission in the middle of a failure cascade guarantees collapse. You can design the most elegant technical architecture in the world, but it is completely useless if the human beings operating the local nodes panic, freeze, or are compromised. We saw the proof of this during the collapse of the Afghan state in 2021. The military had modern equipment and decentralized structures, but because local commanders lacked the trained initiative to act under isolation, the nominally distributed network rotted from the inside out and vanished in 11 days. This classification model outlines how the framework measures human integrity density. It requires rigorous, systematic auditing to prove decision-makers can maintain ethical judgment under extreme stress. Notice the guardian category. These are the nodes on which the entire mesh depends. A decentralized network does not create resilience. It only amplifies the existing institutional integrity of the people running it. Where the nodes lack integrity, the mesh only accelerates the disintegration. Historically, leaders operated as fortress commanders. Their authority came from standing at the top of a strict hierarchy, dominating the system and projecting force outward. The network age demands a different model, the sovereign weaver. In this system, authority is custodial rather than dominant. The sovereign weaver derives their legitimacy from maintaining the flow of the network itself. They focus on cultivating trust between local nodes and preparing the architecture to absorb inevitable shocks. In a tightly coupled world, the capacity to maintain continuity is more durable than the capacity to project force. Every modern institution and state is now facing a binary strategic choice. Option 1 is to cling to fortress thinking. You can keep optimizing purely for stability, build thicker walls, and wait for the next nonlinear cascade to find your architecture unprepared. Option 2 is to embrace flow sovereignty. Map out your pivot dominoes today. You pre-engineer graceful degradation, and you embed commander's intent before a disruption makes the decision for you. The pattern is already established. The organizations that choose to build the architecture of flow now will set the strategic terms for the 2030s.